Hello everyone and welcome back to another 5K tennis discussion. It is Thursday, April the 25th, 2019, and we are here for our 66th show of the 2019 ATP and WTA seasons, and that would be 66, right?
Mm-hmm.
Please like and subscribe to our channel. It is always appreciated, and much love to all of you for tuning in to our shows daily and enjoying the game of tennis that we have so much passion for with us. Big shout out, by the way, to YTEX Strings and Igor Savage, respectively, the president and owner of YTEX Strings, who always goes out of his way, as well as his company, to make sure that that everything is good in our world of tennis and stringing. And furthermore, helping us to share our tennis shows with all of you. Thank you very much, Ivor, and thank you very much to YTEX Strings as a whole. All right, we have the quarterfinals set in multiple tournaments. There's 4 tournaments that the quarterfinals are now set in, both ATP and WTA. So let's jump right into the thick of things. You ready?
I love it. You get to watch a lot of tennis, and that's, in the months of November, it's kind of slow, so this is good. There's a lot of tennis going on right now.
And by the way, I didn't have this written in, but behind us, the camera is facing us, but behind you, or behind us in that direction, is a pretty intense thunderstorm that's rolling through here in the Dauphin Island, Alabama area. And we are again right on the coast in the northern Gulf of Mexico, on the coast of Alabama. So if you hear any thunder or lightning strikes, then it is the weather, and it's truly nice to see. So we have the following tournaments that we're going to be discussing if you missed the last show, and that is Barcelona, men's ATP, Stuttgart, women's WTA, Istanbul, Turkey, WTA, and the Hungarian Open as well, which is an ATP men's 250. Okay? So as we start this show out today, we would like to start this show with a question, okay? The question that we're going to start this show with today is, what does it take? What does it take to become a good tennis player? What does it take to become a good tennis player? There's a lot of viewers out there that have a lot of passion for the game, whether they're players or just viewers or just fans and enthusiasts. I think that everyone here is a very, very knowledgeable tennis fan or player or enthusiast. What does it take to become a good tennis player? Carla?
For once, it's a lot of patience because it is a harder game to learn. So a lot of patience to master your strokes. A lot of mental toughness as well. Practice, 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 and practice. You must practice this sport. To be a very good tennis player, repetition, strategy, tough physically as well. Being able to run is another one.
So fitness.
Fitness is so important in tennis. I don't know, that's a few of the things I can think of.
There's quite a lot of things that we can deliberate upon that we can define what it takes to become a good tennis player. For myself, that I wrote here, number 1, work ethic. Playing tennis, just like in life, it involves a strong work ethic. I don't think there's any college student or any elementary school student or any high school student or any any respective field that doesn't associate success with a good work ethic, right?
Yes.
Number 2, humility. Why is it important to be humble or to be non-chauvinistic or to be calm in the most intense of situations in tennis? Why is it important? Number 1, because if we're not humble on the tennis court as well as in life, and we get stoked up and we get upset and we start shooting things from the hip impulsively, what tends to happen is that the player or a person in the life that we live tends to lose. So humility is extremely important, in my opinion, to become a good tennis player. Number 3, a positive attitude. We always talk about positive energy on this show, and believe me, Carla and I, with 5 children, sometimes we find ourselves in not the most positive of attitudes. But at the end of the day, I think we try to take a deep breath and try to slow things down and try to remain positive, and ultimately it makes the day better. So the same thing on the tennis court. Keep a positive attitude. Stay positive. And even if you hit 3 or 4 or 25 unforced errors, the match is never over until it's over.
Yes, definitely.
So positive attitude from start to finish is highly important, because I can't tell you how many times in my life that I've been down big in a tennis match, or down big and the daily trials and tribulations that we roll through. If I wouldn't have remained positive, that I probably would have lost altogether. So staying positive is extremely important. Patience is another one. You just mentioned patience. Patience is extremely important. Again, if we're down big and we're not patient, then the ability to come back is null and void. A continuous desire to practice. Practicing on the tennis court is extremely important. Hitting tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of balls is absolutely important to becoming a good tennis player. How does this relate to life, Carla? Do we walk through life and hit one unforced error, metaphorically speaking, and just say, forget about everything? No, I think the best thing to do is, if we hit an unforced error on the court or in life, we try our best to move forward and be patient and humble and see what happens, right?
Correct.
Fitness, which you mentioned. Fitness is important. Stay fit. Try not to drink stuff that's not good for you. Try not to eat things that are bad for you. Try not to breathe things that can potentially kill you. So fitness and diet is absolutely important. Being a good student is also important. We can't get better at things unless we are a good student. To be a good student, you have to be humble and patient as well, and respect our teachers and the people that are trying to educate us through the game of tennis or through the lives that we lead, right? Lastly, sharing with coaching. For me, as a coach with a lot of students, one of the first things that I do with especially the intermediate to advanced students is try to involve in our sessions drills where we can have one student coaching another student. We had a couple players out the other day, and we would split them both up into a coach and player type team, and one player would play another player, and it was up to the other student on the court, as young as they may be, to point out the things that that player that was on their team could do better on the point that they just won or lost. So sharing coaching, I think, is important, right?
Agree.
All right, anyway, moving forward with all the previous things that we just stated, let's comment below on why you think that tennis can be associated with life, okay? How is tennis associated with carrying on what we do, which is very tough, and which is the life that we lead? How is tennis a metaphor for life, okay? Tennis is truly a beautiful thing. It's a global language. It's an international sense of togetherness, and I only hope that one day we can settle our confrontations globally with not wars or trash talk or whatever, but I hope that we can settle them with tennis matches.
You know, no matter where I go, if someone finds out I can play tennis, I mean, it's a good way to build a friendship. You meet a lot of different people from different backgrounds, different classes. I mean, it's a great sport to learn, and you can play it as long as you want.
All right, so moving into Barcelona, we're going to start there with our scores and results. In Barcelona today, David Ferrer, the longtime tennis player and veteran of this game that we brought up multiple times before on this show, bowed out today to an okay-looking Rafael Nadal. No shock that this occurred. It was a relatively straightforward win.
Yes.
However, I want to bring up David Ferrer for a minute, and we have mentioned him before in terms of whether or not we think David Ferrer is a Hall of Fame tennis player or not. Let's remind ourselves that David Ferrer is a well-liked player both on the tennis court and off the tennis court, as well as extremely liked in the locker room. David Ferrer's last tournament will be in Madrid this year. And that will be his last hurrah. He won't play the French Open The Madrid tournament in clay will be his last tournament. So the second question we're going to initiate on this show is, what are some of your favorite David Ferrer moments? I have a lot of favorites. I know you have a lot of favorites.
Yeah, he's definitely one of my favorites to watch. Before I met Justin, I used to talk about David Ferrer and how I thought he was a beautiful player to watch and a beautiful person to look at. So.
Yeah, and she had a man crush, hence why she said beautiful player to look at, right?
I will miss watching him.
But that's okay. That's all right. I take that with a grain of salt because I as well think David Ferrer is an incredible player and deserves to be in the Tennis Hall of Fame. Here are some of the moments that Carla and I postulated and we wrote down as we were writing this show today. Number 1, Davis Cup champion 3 times. 2 times in a row, and then for a 3rd time in which his match play on the rubbers, is which they call it, were extremely important to their wins. French Open finalist against Nadal in 2013, lost decisively to Nadal in that tournament. I think it was like 6-3, 6-2, 6-3, something like that. The only downfall I had to that final is that in David Ferrer's interview post that tournament many years ago, when we were really still doing this without a camera in front of us, we watched David Ferrer indicate that he, quote, never had a chance before he walked onto the court facing Nadal. In other words, he told himself in his head, I don't have a chance against this guy in this French Open final, so we'll just go out there and give it our best. I would think...
Probably not a good response.
Yeah, I would think moving forward, if David Ferrer could stop and go back in time and retract a statement that he made, and maybe a mental energy snafu that he led his mind to believe that he didn't have a chance. He did have a chance, and I think that maybe this mental bump in the road that he gave himself as I don't have a chance probably led to him losing so badly in that final. He was a little intimidated, maybe a lot intimidated, but I think as David Ferrer moves into his retirement, into the next chapter of his life, I really think that he would want to retract that statement and tell himself mentally, as we always say, stay positive. He went into the match negative, saying, I don't have a chance against this guy. I think that he would want to go back in time and say to himself, I do have a chance, right?
Anyone has a chance against anyone. You never know if that person's having a bad day. So I wish he would have played, going in thinking I can win this.
Always do. Never doubt yourself. Always stay positive. I don't care who you are facing on the court. If you are just positive, good things can happen. All right? Career wins versus losses. And David Ferrer's career, 733 wins to 375 losses. Incredible.
Not shabby at all.
Prize money total of 31 million plus, not including sponsors. Tennis tournament wins, prize money 31 million. 27 titles. Highest ranking on the men's ATP Tour was number 3 in 2013.
He deserves to be in the Tennis Hall of Fame. And for a guy that's 5'7", 5'8", I mean, any junior out there, you think you're small, don't think that, because this guy did a lot against the giants. So
the rain and weather, if you could see out this window, has picked up quite a bit. So if we're shouting, excuse us, but outside this window is lightning, thunder, and some pretty nice Mother Nature stuff.
Yes.
So I haven't always been the biggest David Ferrer fan over the years because of his grinding game. However, after I look back, or we look back over these nearly 20 years, I think we realize that he has all of the characteristics of a great tennis player that we just spoke about in our last segment of what are the characteristics of a great tennis player.
Yes.
Right?
He's a fighter, never gives up,
humble,
works hard,
stays positive, less than Nadal statement that I never had a chance, but nonetheless stays positive, is well liked on and off the court, and especially in the locker room. We will miss you, David Ferrer, and best of luck after your loss today as you move forward into your last tournament in Madrid.
One of the most patient players, by the way, to watch. He waits and waits, and he'll hit every ball back. And I'm sure he'll have a career after this. I'm pretty sure somewhere in Spain he'll have a career, broadcasting or whatever he wants to do.
David Ferrer will be missed incredibly if it were not for the big three, meaning Djokovic, Federer, Nadal. I never say big four, because personally I don't think that Andy Murray was ever a big anything. I just, think he was a fighter and kind of hung in there. But again, I'm not knocking on Andy Murray, but you won't ever hear me say big four, because there never was a big four in my opinion. It was just big three. Murray was just kind of there.
With Wawrinka, he should be with Wawrinka.
Without the big three, Federer, Nadal, Djokovic.
Yes.
David Ferrer coulda, woulda, shoulda, won quite a few major tournaments in my opinion. All right. Anyway, best of luck to David Ferrer in his next and last tournament in Madrid. This was for you. There will probably be thunder in a moment, because a strike of lightning just about nailed our neighbor's house just through that window. Told you. All right, Carla, let's jump right into draws, starting with Barcelona. And by the way, I'm excited about my predictive draw, as Carla and I always do. We always do draws and fill them out before the tournaments start, so we keep up with the live scores and fill in our draws, but yet we have predictive draws that we anticipate before the tournaments start. And currently I, being humble, have 6 of 8 quarterfinalists. 6 of 8. So that's pretty good for me, given that clay court season is very tough for myself to predict these things. So 6 of 8 quarterfinals, we're on track.
I only have 3.
All right, let's go. Let's jump right into the Barcelona Open and start off with the Nadal and Ferrer match.
Sure. Rafael Nadal defeated David Ferrer from Rafael Nadal from Spain defeated David Ferrer from Spain 6-3, 6-3. He will face off Jan-Lennard Struff from Germany, who defeated Stefanos Tsitsipas from Greece in 3 sets today. I was rooting for Tsitsipas in this clay tournament. I was hoping he would do well, but it looks like Struff is on a roll.
Struff has been on fire this entire clay court season. It was a little bit of a shock to me to see Tsitsipas lose this match so convincingly. I do think that Tsitsipas, and that is Stefanos Tsitsipas, the Greek player, I do think his trajectory is good, though.
Yes.
We have both noticed that his muscle mass on his quadriceps, we talked about this on our last show, the upper part of the leg, have grown, whereas some of his other next gen, which I think is cheesy, so excuse me for even saying next gen, but some of the younger players that need to be doing the same thing with the likes of Sasha or i.e. Alexander Zverev, that continues to lose at this point. I think Tsitsipas won't really take any negativity away from this loss. With his game, the one-hander and the aggressive style, again, it gets negated on clay, at least to a little bit of a degree.
Yes.
And Struff has had a lights-out clay court season. If Struff and Tsitsipas played at the U.S. Open, I would definitely bank my bankroll, which I don't have, on Tsitsipas. But here, good win for Struff. I think that Struff, though, will ultimately be derailed by Nadal in the next round.
I agree. They've never played against each other. So 0-0.
Yeah. I think there will be an intimidation factor for Struff, though, against Nadal.
Definitely. Dominic Thiem took out Jamul Munar from Spain 7-5, 6-1, and is facing Guido Pella from Argentina, who defeated Benoit Paire in 2 sets. These guys have played 4 times. Head-to-head is 2-2, with Thiem winning the last time.
We have discussed that Jamil Munar is a student at Rafael Nadal's camp in Mallorca. He's from Mallorca. But honestly, if you've paid attention to the show in the past, I cannot stand grunting or screeching. And Munar screeches so loud for no reason whatsoever. I've seen this guy hit drop shots and yell like a hyena after the drop shot already landed on the other side of the court. No disrespect to Munar whatsoever, but here's a big, I guess you could say, venting session to the Nadal camp in Mallorca.
Nadal grunts too, so did Ferrer in today's match.
Well, I get that, but Munar takes the screeching to a hyena antelope level and beyond.
So does he beat Azarenka?
Munar and Azarenka are on the same playing field in terms
Okay.
of screeching. We'll get to that with the Azarenka match indoors, which expedited Azarenka's screeching to a level of eardrum blasting. But we won't get into that now. But unfortunately, I have zero tolerance for any player that screeches or grunts. So I'm not hating on Munar, but I'm glad he's out of the tournament so I don't have to listen to his screeching or grunting anymore because it's preposterous.
Well, Roberto Carballes Baeno defeated Christian Garin from Chile, 6-4, 7-6, and is facing Kei Nishikori, who defeated Felix Auger-aliassime pretty easily, actually, 6-1, 6-3. These guys have never played each other. By the way, I saw a video of Aliassime practicing after he lost, which I thought was, wow, that's
Great.
good for this 18-year-old.
Yeah, we talked about this in the first segment of the show. What does it take to be a good tennis player? So Felix Auger-aliassime lost today and went right back onto the practice court. That's something my father would have us do as a kid if we played a tournament and lost it. We'd want to go home and just chill, play with toys, whatever, but nope, we're going back to the practice court. And that's a wonderful thing.
I guarantee you that Felix Auger-aliassime will pass Zverev. Pass him.
By the way, let's rewind a little bit. That Dominic Thiem versus Guido Pella match. Who do you have winning that?
I said it's 2-2. Their head-to-head is 2-2.
But who do you have winning this one?
I'm going to go with Thiem just because I think he needs to win these clay tournaments if he wants to have a chance at Roland Garros.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Thiem as well. And on our predicted draw, both of us had Thiem meeting Nadal in the semis.
Yes.
The Nishikori versus the Roberto Carballes Baena match. We can't forget that Carballes Baena is a lucky loser.
Yes.
So he's not only a lucky loser, but he's an extremely lucky loser. So he lost in the qualifying, didn't make the tournament. I think it was Fognini that pulled out,
yes.
And he has now made it into the quarterfinals.
Good for him.
Don't forget that Nicolas Jarry, the Chilean, did the same thing, and he is in the bottom half of this draw. So two lucky losers that didn't make the tournament. Two people pulled out, and they both have found themselves in the quarterfinals.
Awesome for them. Daniil Medvedev took out today.
Who do you have winning between Nishikori and Roberto Carballes Baena?
I'm going with Roberto Carballes Baena. I'm going with the Spaniard.
I'm going to go with Nishikori here, as well as I'm sure Dedseville, i.e. Casper and Poland will do the same. As if you haven't followed our prize giveaways, which are YTEX Strings, or 5K Tennis or YTEX T-shirts for the clay court season, we asked that you viewers pick the player that would accumulate the most points during the clay court season. And Casper, i.e. Dedseville, picked Nishikori. I'm going to follow his lead on this one and take Nishikori to beat the lucky loser.
Okay, Daniil Medvedev from Russia took out Mackenzie McDonald from the USA pretty easily, 6-3, 6-2. Easily because, well, I mean, Medvedev plays better on clay than the American. The American's not so used to the clay. He's much better on hard court. And he will face Nicolas Jarry from Chile, who took out Dimitrov today in 3 sets. By the way, Jarry and Medvedev have never played against each other.
So let's rewind it to the Mackenzie McDonald, the U.S. player. I think he played for UCLA in college, by the way, or maybe it was USC. I think it was UCLA. Daniil Medvedev, the Russian player, has now proved himself on clay. He seems to be a real clay court specialist. And if you have followed this show through our last 4 majors, we do a fantasy league. And I think that Medvedev at this point, depending upon his draw for the French Open, will definitely be on my French Open team, depending upon who he faces in his draw. But watch out for Medvedev in the French Open. He's on my radar.
I agree.
Nicolas Jarry from Chile, the lucky loser. For me, Jarry, he's a tall gentleman, by the way, 6'6". You know, that's pretty rare for a Chilean player, in my opinion. Usually you're on the 6 foot threshold.
I think Fernando Gonzalez was from Chile.
But was he 6'6"?
No, he was like about 5'8", 5'9". He was not a big guy. And there's another Chilean, I forgot his name, that's now coaching a WTA player. He had a ponytail, like curly hair. I'll remember on the next show.
And again,
he was a short guy too.
Our camera, and I hate to interject, but our camera is right next to a window, and outside that window, I don't know if I can pan it real quick so they can understand, but I'll try to pan this over. Out there is some extremely bad weather, so hopefully you're not seeing too much of that. All right? All right. But Fernando Gonzalez, by the way, a.k.a. Gonzo, for me was one of, I'm not going to say my favorite players, but an extremely good player.
I had fun watching him in the 90s against Sampras and Agassi.
Yeah, he used to hit with this Babolat racket. He would come out and they would say, here's Gonzo, and he would always have great results. I can only hope that Fernando Gonzalez is involved with the likes of Nicholas Jarry, the lucky loser that has now crept into the quarterfinals, right?
Yeah.
All right, so anyway, who do you have winning the Daniil Medvedev and Nicholas Jarry match?
Daniil Medvedev.
This one is a toss-up for me. If Nicholas Jarry wins this match versus Medvedev, I will be extremely impressed and will no longer think of him in this tournament as a lucky loser, but an incredibly good tennis player.
Okay.
Okay? All right, by the way, in this tournament, we have Grigor Dimitrov that lost to Jarry as well. Is this a big win for Jarry beating Dimitrov, or is Dimitrov just simply now at this point that bad?
Dimitrov was never that good on clay, so no, it's not a huge win. Dimitrov can lose to anyone actually on clay. It's his weakest surface. He does better on grass and hard courts. His style is, for grass and hard courts, not for clay.
I'm sorry, at this point in time right now, that Dimitrov just needs to win a match or two.
He has a couple.
First and second round, maybe, but right now, Dimitrov's trajectory is down. I think Dimitrov now at this point is might as well just be washed up. I don't see Dimitrov going past the second round at the French Open. I don't see Dimitrov going past the third round at Wimbledon, and I don't see Dimitrov doing much better than that for the rest of his career.
I disagree with you. I just don't think clay is his surface. I think he'll do better at the grass.
So you're telling me hard court was the surface? How did he do in hard court season?
I don't remember. He didn't do too good.
Because there's nothing
he lost in the first round.
Because there's nothing to remember.
I think he'll do fine at Wimbledon. You'll be surprised.
All right, moving forward, let's go into Stuttgart, which is the Porsche Tennis Grand Prix, which is a WTA tournament where we have Naomi Osaka battling out for the #1 ranking versus Petra Kvitova in this tournament.
Well, she will be #1 after today's win. She
Osaka
remains
will
the
be?
#1 player
Okay,
after
good for
today's
her.
win. Naomi Osaka from Japan defeated Sue Shea 6-4, 6-3. She got her revenge back. She looked good.
Sue Shea, by the way, always amazes me. She's the smallest, thinnest tennis player with the likes of Radzwanska.
She's thinner than
Wozniacki.
Thinner.
But yet she pulls off some really good tennis. And even more odd, she has 2 hands on the forehand and 2 hands on the backhand.
An incredible feel. I mean, she can slice, she can drop shots. She has a great feel for the ball. Hard to teach juniors. I mean, if I wanted someone to teach my kids about finesse and touch, she would be the person I would go to.
Well, yes, I wouldn't teach her.
Not with the 2 hands.
I wouldn't teach her the 2 hands on
Not
the
with the
side.
2 hands. She would have to explain it with 1 hand on both sides.
But look, this young girl, I understand that she lost, but Sue Shea, for me, is quite an interesting story, start to finish, for this little thing, this thin girl, to really pull off some really big upsets over the past couple of months or past year. It's quite incredible.
Well, it shows you don't have to be a big muscular person in tennis. You could be a small frame, a thin frame, a big frame, a muscular frame, and do just as well.
Agreed.
Donna Vekic defeated Daria Kasatkina from Russia. 6-1, 7-5. Kind of bummed out by this because I wanted Kasatkina to get more matches under her belt, as she needs these matches for more confidence going into the French Open. Did not happen. Osaka will face Vekic. Osaka leads this head-to-head 1-0.
I think the biggest news in this Vekic match is, #1, Donna Vekic is Stanislav Wawrinka's girlfriend. I said that jokingly, but hey, Mladenovic and TM are a thing, and we have Vekic and Wawrinka that
I'm
are
sure
a
if
thing.
she watched our show, she would get upset that we keep referring to her as Stan Wawrinka's girlfriend, because she wants to make a name for herself.
I get that.
I would be upset.
Well, I get that, but until Donna Vekic starts making it deeper into tournaments, then she'll just remain Wawrinka's girlfriend. Anyway, Vekic is a good player. We before we started doing the show, Carla, if you don't remember, we used to speak about Vekic on clay courts and that she had success on clay courts. This was before we did this show the first time last year, which was Wimbledon, our very first show, 230 some odd shows ago. We talked about Donna Vekic in the kitchen. She's a good player. She has the potential to beat Osaka on this surface.
She can.
Do you think it will happen?
No.
I think it will happen. I think Vekic will beat Osaka in this.
She has more chance on this surface than any other.
Yeah, I think Vekic beats Osaka and sends Osaka back to video gaming and doing Instagram photos with a rap star boyfriend.
Well,
I think
mean,
so.
You can't get mad at Osaka. She has a Nike deal, #1 in the world still, 2 Grand Slams. So I got to defend the girl a little bit here.
All right, well, whatever. Different strokes for different folks. I personally take tennis to a level of if I'm as good as Osaka
I wouldn't
is.
be messing around with a rapper boyfriend nor video games.
If I am as good as a tennis player with the likes of Naomi Osaka, and I've won 2 majors, the last thing I want to do right now is ease the throttle off and start doing stupidity stuff as we've talked about before.
Well, in her interview, she says she doesn't expect to do well on clay at all. She thinks her chances are very slim.
Well, that's a great attitude to have,
That's
Osaka.
what she said in her interview.
That's a great attitude to have. You know what the attitude I would have if I was your age and I'd won 2 majors? Is I hope I'd kill everybody on the court that I face. I don't care what the surface is. I plan to destroy you. I don't think someone's going to do too well on clay if they say, well, it's not my best surface, and whatever. That's why I think Vekic will beat you in the next round, and if not, someone else will. Maybe the likes of Azarenka and Kontaveit that face off in the next round.
Well, Victoria Azarenka defeated Karolina Pliskova in 3 sets and will face Anett Kontaveit, who defeated Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova from Russia. They're head-to-head. Azarenka's up 1-0. We watch Azarenka playing Pliskova. Yes, the grunting was loud, or the screeching was loud.
It wasn't a grunt.
But the points were good, and this is my point. Pliskova has 2 coaches, yet she's still not doing good.
This match, by the way, between Azarenka and Pliskova, respectively, was indoors, as if you follow this tournament, indoors on clay in Stuttgart, right?
Yes.
Because it was indoors, things echo. Have you ever been in a cave and gone, hey, and it goes, hey, 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 and it echoes around you for like 5 minutes until the sound dissipates? Azarenka squealing in this match was so bad that we had to turn the TV down all the way to 0, and even on 0, it still had a little bit of a sound, so we had to turn it down to 0 and then hit mute. When she would squeal like a pig, it was like, hers isn't a squeal. It's not a grunt. It's not a squeal. It's not a screech. It's something that we call ear penetration. So when she would give us the ear penetrating sound that was totally unnecessary on every shot, it would emanate through our house, bounce off the TV, bounce off the walls, bounce off my notebook, bounce off this book right here with the Mighty Feather on it, and bounce off this wooden tennis racket, and then bounce into my left ear because it started into my right ear. So what I'm trying to tell you is that
you're very touchy today, aren't you?
Azarenka's squeal is preposterous. You can't watch it. If you go to a safari, let's say in Africa somewhere, and there's hyenas around, forget about a laughing hyena. You don't have to go see them. You can just watch Azarenka play. You can. Forget about seeing a pig going mee, 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 like in Charlotte's Web or something. Forget Charlotte's Web. You got Azarenka's squeal. So don't go see a wild pig anywhere, and don't go see a safari somewhere and pay all the money to travel there to see a bunch of hyenas. Just watch Azarenka play, because this was crazy. The echoing of her squeal had to have run at least half of the audience out in Stuttgart. And maybe that's why they turned the lights off and only lit up the tennis court, because everyone, when they heard Azarenka screech or squeal or squeak like a wild hyena, they probably didn't want to show everyone leaving. Nonetheless, I'm glad Azarenka won.
She beat your player that you always say is going to win a Grand Slam.
The next match, though, against Kontaveit will be much tougher, but I think Azarenka should win that.
She will win that match.
And I think that Azarenka will inevitably meet Donna Vekic. I think you assume that Azarenka will meet Osaka.
Yes.
All right, next match.
Anastasia Sevastova defeated Laura Sigmund and will face Petra Kvitova, who defeated Greet Minin, a qualifier. These guys have played 3 times, and I was a bit shocked that the head-to-head was On Sevastova's side, 2-1. But the last time they played was in 2011 at Wimbledon, and Kvitova won.
We've talked about Sevastova for a long time,
But
Carla.
that's 2011. That's a long time ago.
Well, we have talked about Sevastova since 2011.
She's a great player.
She's
has a beautiful
feisty.
Game. Yeah.
She has a way of looking at her box like she wants to just destroy everyone in it.
Yes.
She is a feisty player. I told you yesterday, or the day before yesterday on the last show, that Sigeman with the high socks would be beaten by Sevastova.
Sure. Yeah, I did. I had that also.
Yeah, the high socks with the likes of Sigeman and Bethany Maddox-Sands only get you so far. High socks, or so you can remember their
Just
socks.
wear them in the wintertime. They're good for the winter. I wear them high socks when it's cold.
I think Sigeman is from Germany. I think those high socks work best on the ski slopes.
Okay.
But who wins that match between...
Petra Kvitova, definitely. I mean, she still wants to... I mean, she's not going to be number one after this tournament, but she does want to gain some points as well.
This match, I'm actually going to go with Sevastova.
Okay.
I think Sevastova has the game on clay to take out the big hitting Kvitova.
She should. Well, Kiki Bertens defeated Belinda Bencic from Switzerland in 3 sets.
Good match.
We actually thought that Bencic was going to win this after the second set, but that did not happen. So she will face Angelique Kerber, who defeated Andrea Petkovic, who's one of your favorite players, in two straight sets. They're head-to-head. Bertens, Kerber, 2-2. Kerber beat her. Bertens beat her the last time in the 2018 WTA finals.
Big shout out to Belinda Bencic's father, who is her coach. You have done an absolutely spectacular job. I speak for myself on this one. Teaching your own kids is extremely difficult.
Yes.
Sometimes teaching my own. I'll just say some of my kids I've taught for 3 times as long as others. And the others that I've taught for a third of the time are already better because our kids just tend to want to rebel and other kids just want to soak up and listen. So really good job to Belinda Bencic's father for being able to handle this deal. Also a big shout out to Bertens, Kiki Bertens here, who finds a way to strike winners and strike the ball on clay like no other. To hit winners like Kiki Bertens has been doing on clay is very difficult.
Yes.
When she was playing Bencic, she was really crunching the ball, hitting the ball, finding her lanes, and executing those lanes, and really making the court very small, it seemed to her. But for Bertens to hit the ball like this, I think Bertens is on my radar for the French Open. Maybe not to win it, but definitely to be in my top 8.
Okay.
Okay? Who wins between Bertens and Kerber?
Kerber.
I'm going with Bertens here. If Bertens can strike the ball like she did against Bencic, Kerber will fall. All right?
All right, next tournament, Istanbul Cup. We have Lara Arubarena, who will face off Marketa Vondrousova.
Vondrousova, yeah.
Vondrousova defeated Kuznetsova in 2 sets, and Arubarena defeated Peterson. So they will face off each other.
So in this tournament, I just wanted to throw out a quick note, and it doesn't matter. I know most of our viewers are international, and it doesn't. And again, in this game and the show that we do, we're a family, and it's not where we are from. We are all tennis enthusiasts and fans. I thought it was a little shocking that there was not a one U.S. or American tennis player in this tournament. So I had to do a little bit of research on this. Why is it that there was not one U.S. player? Again, it doesn't matter. I don't care if you're from Antarctica or Greenland or Congo. It doesn't matter if you're a tennis player or we're family. But I was curious of why there was no U.S. tennis player in this tournament. Lo and behold, there is a travel alert. In other words, if you are an American that wants to travel to Turkey, you are advised to beware. I think it's an unfortunate event. I'm not going to get into geopolitics on this show. Again, this is a positive thing. But again, in the first segment, I mentioned that I hope that one day we can solve our differences, not on a battleground or not in a political arena, but maybe on a tennis court. I think it's a shame that people, no matter where you are, where you want to travel, have to have an alert to go there. But come to find out, the reason, or one of the reasons why there's no American players there, are because they're scared of being kidnapped, or worse. So that's an unfortunate deal. Luckily for me, the best players in the game are not American right now, except with Serena Williams.
Yeah, Serena's not playing till Rome.
So it's not taking away from the tournament, but for me, it's taking away from the flavor. You isolate somewhere because certain people from an indigenous place and time are scared to go there, and I think that's unfortunate.
But this is a small tournament, so I don't see any of the big Americans playing this. Anyway.
So look, in the quarterfinals here, we have Aruba-Barrena, who's great on clay, Vondrousova, Strykova, Rybakina, Petra Martic, Mladenovic, who I think is TM's girlfriend,
She's doing well.
Kudmentova, who I personally have never heard of, and then
she beat Sakari.
And Sakari, we've talked about Sakari a lot.
And you have Gasparin, who was a lucky loser, who beat Buzarnescu.
So an interesting tournament here. The only person in this tournament, there's two on my radar, maybe three, for the French Open. And again, that's why we do these tournaments, are Aruba-Barrena, Martic, and Mladenovic. Strykova, maybe.
Okay.
All right, last
Hungarian
tournament.
Open, we have Cuevas against Barenti. They've never played against each other.
And Pablo Cuevas, by the way, defeated Cilic. Cilic took a wild card to get into this tournament in the first place because he hasn't had great results this year. He wanted to get more match practice in before the French or Roland Garros, and was taken out by Pablo Cuevas. Pablo Cuevas is one of the top 10 clay court players, in my opinion, on tour currently. He's a great clay court player.
That would have been Bashvili will face Jiri. Bashvili got bagel in his last match against Goyowicz, but came back and won the match. And Jiri actually has a head-to-head, 1-0. Beat him in the 2015 Roland Garros. I didn't know that.
This is a great match. Laszlo Jiri against Basilashvili. Laszlo Jiri is one of the Serbian players that I think has a chance at the French Open. I think actually Laszlo Jiri will beat Basilashvili.
I'll go with that. Next match is very interesting. We have a veteran in tennis who really has a very, very low ranking. He's ranked 1,289. Bashi Balas, who will face off Pierre Herbert. They've never played against each other. Again, this guy is 39 years old, ranked 1,289, and his prize money is $2,229. He beat Hurkacz in the first round.
I like the gentleman's name, Attila.
He's from Hungary.
Attila Balas, who is a qualifier, wild card, by the way, from Hungary, which at 39 years old to make it into the quarterfinals of a tournament in your native country is quite impressive.
And beat a good player.
I was curious why Fusovic didn't play this tournament, being Hungarian himself, no matter if it was small or big.
I would go with the bigger tournament.
This is your home field. I think Fusovic should have played here.
No.
And good job for Herbert, the double specialist, to be here as well.
Krajinovic will face Coric. Šoric has the upper hand, 1-0.
This match here will be great. I think this is the best match of this entire tournament. This should be a final. Borna Coric against Krajinovic. I think it's Filip Krajinovic, a Serbian player.
Well, they just played at the Australian Open just a few months ago, and Coric beat him in 4 sets.
I think I'm going to give the edge here to Coric on this surface, but I think Laszlo Jiri has a great shot of winning the tournament. If Basilashvili beats Laszlo Jiri, I think Basilashvili will win the tournament. I think the meat of this tournament, or the excitement of this tournament, right now is between Basilashvili and Jiri. Pablo Cuevas up top that upset Cilic. Well, maybe not upset because he's really a lot better than Cilic on clay.
Right.
And then Coric on the bottom half.
Yes.
All right. So that's it for tournaments. So we're going to move forward to the end of the show. And as we always like to do, our quotes of the day. All right? Quote of the day. Here we go. Quote number 1. Americans are incredibly impatient. Someone once said that the shortest period of time in America is the time between when the traffic light turns green and when you hear the first horn honk. Makes sense, Here, the light turns green, and if you're not immediately on the gas, someone is blaring at the horn and shooting hand gestures out the window.
Agree. I can say that sometimes when I drive over this bridge, the speed limit is 55. I'm going 55, and there are people right behind me trying to pass me as we're going up to the highest point where you can't see the cars coming the opposite way.
So how does this wrap into being a patient tennis player or a tennis player? On the tennis court, I think I see so many junior players that tend to get on court. Our oldest son is one of them, where he has to hit the ball once or twice. If he doesn't win the point, he's lost. It looks like he just ran a traffic light. So again, patience is important. I can't tell you how many times in this world and different examples in the life that we live that someone gets impatient at the red light, swerves around someone to get around someone at the red light only to get hit in some terrible head-on collision. Be patient, and patience in tennis is important. Number 2, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you will miss it.
Yes.
Carla, this is a shout out to you. You really made this a point for me the other day when you went outside one day to take out the trash and you came back inside with the picture of a beautiful lizard. That really made my day. I don't think if you were impatient, you would have seen the lizard and taken the time to take a picture of the lizard. Pay attention to your surroundings. They're beautiful. Last one. If evolution really works, how come mothers only have 2 hands? Okay? And that comes from Milton Berle. By the way, the first quote came from Jim Rohn. Second quote came from John Hughes. And this last one, if evolution really works, how do mothers of 5 kids only have 2 hands?
I feel like I have more than 2 hands.
You only have 2 hands because I can see them.
But I feel like I have more. I can do a lot.
That's it, everyone. Much love to all of you. Like our show, subscribe to our channel, share our videos. If you wish to contribute to our channel, you can expand the description field below or to the right of the title by hitting a down arrow, and there's a couple links there where you can contribute to our show with PayPal or Cash App. Check out YTEX Strings and Apparel, really great company that makes tennis and stringing personal, and that for us here at 5K Tennis is priceless. We will see you all soon, and as the lovely Carla always says,
Adios.
Adios, see you later. And usually my son comes over and turns off the camera, but he's probably too involved in whatever he's doing to do so, so pardon me getting up to do it, and I'll turn off the camera. All right? Sorry, I'll gripe at him in a minute, because that's another story for another day. All right? Thank you.